Oki, thank you for joining us here this afternoon. I want to acknowledge we're gathered on the traditional territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and I acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. Downtown Calgary continues to struggle. Third quarter figures from the CBRE peg the vacancy rate at 32.9%. That's the highest in the country. Avison Young estimates the vacancy rate to be 27.5%. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but whichever one that you look at, the commercial vacancy rates and the vacancy rates in general in downtown Calgary remain higher than pre-pandemic levels. Worst of all, we have seen next to nothing in terms of help from the UCP or vision or actual solutions to build the downtown. Now, initially, Finance Minister Travis Tabe says that helping downtown Calgary just wasn't his job. Then, after an outcry from a number of Calgarians, the UCP reversed course and they formed a little working group to look at the issue. That working group released their report in May, but the UCP has not said which recommendations they will implement, if any. They've done nothing. All the UCP has offered is $5 million. That amount the president and CEO of the Calgary Chamber of Commerce called, quote, a slap in the face. Surely we can do much better than that. Add to this, the UCP also delayed the Green Line for a year, a vital project for downtown that Danielle Smith called a, quote, fantasy, quote, a catastrophically bad decision, and, quote, of no real use to anyone. No wonder she doesn't want to run for a seat in Calgary. And now, Danielle Smith is pushing ahead with her so-called Sovereignty Act that will drive investment out of downtown Calgary and destroy jobs. It does not have to be this way. Calgary deserves so much better. Now, there are several steps we can take to bring energy to downtown Calgary. In April, Alberta's NDP released a series of proposals to revitalize downtown Calgary. We did this after careful consultation and weighing the things that we can practically and pragmatically get done right away. One of those recommendations I want to focus on today is the expansion of post-secondary institutions into the downtown core to support the creation of an innovation district. Calgary already has most of the elements that we need to create such an innovation district, particularly the area around the new Platform Innovation Center. However, one key piece that is missing is the lack of post-secondary institutions. Expanding post-secondary institutions' presence into downtown and creating an innovation district is supported by Calgary Economic Development and the Calgary Chamber of Commerce. Just this week, they both released reports endorsing the idea. In fact, Calgary Economic Development cited the creation of an innovation district as the #1 way we can support innovation and diversify our economy in this region. The Calgary Chamber says a downtown campus would better attract and retain skilled workers. We in the Alberta opposition, NDP opposition, agree. But today, Danielle Smith showed up to the Calgary Chamber of Commerce and offered absolutely nothing new. She made a so-called announcement on Deerfoot Trail. That's just the continuation of a project that was started several years ago under our government, but then the UCP delayed. So congratulations for continuing a project that started several years ago. The only thing Danielle Smith offered that will help downtown and diversification efforts is the reinstatement of the NDP's digital media tax credit that was cancelled under the UCP. That decision by the UCP led to jobs and investment leaving the province, and we lost 3 years in a quickly evolving and highly competitive industry. Conspicuously absent from her remarks today was any mention of the Sovereignty Act. She knows how deeply unpopular this idea, this scheme that got her elected into the Premier's office, she knows how deeply unpopular it is in downtown Calgary. And yet, she is going to push ahead with it. It is going to come to the legislature in the fall, and it will lead to more chaos, costs, and conflict. Danielle Smith has done nothing to offer Calgary anything concrete except some vague promises that she can't back up and some continuation of NDP plans. The fact is that we need so much more than the work that we started several years ago. We need a forward-looking plan that will bring new energy and optimism to downtown Calgary. And we need a plan that will substantively support the city as a whole by building a more resilient economy and creating jobs for future generations. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
All right, thank you, Shannon. We will now go to questions. Just a reminder for those joining us through the phone lines to use the *9 function, and for those joining us on Zoom to use the raise hand function to get into the question queue. We'll go to our first caller, which is Josh Aldrich. Go ahead, Josh, your line is open.
Today, you did talk about Premier Smith at the Chamber. She did talk about working with municipalities to find ways to fund infrastructure projects within the city, including potentially looking at leaving education taxes within the municipalities. What do you think of some of these ideas? Are these ideas that do have some plausibility of helping address some of these funding issues for revitalization of downtown and some of the other infrastructure projects that have been talked about?
The way that we ensure that all municipalities, big and small, but especially a place like Calgary where investment in infrastructure is so key to attracting jobs and attracting investment and really creating that resilient economy for the future, the way that we do that is through a stable, predictable funding framework, such as we have articulated in the NDP opposition and such as we actually put in place and that the UCP tore up. To ensure that we have stable, predictable funding for those kinds of really big capital infrastructure projects rather than yanking municipalities back and forth as they have done on the Deerfoot expansion, as they have done on the Green Line. These are massive projects that require a partner in the provincial government that is serious, that is competent, and that will behave in a way that is predictable and will behave in a way that understands that our role as a provincial government is to be key partners in economic prosperity and growth going forward. We don't see that from Danielle Smith. So once again, she floats these sort of wacky trial balloons, as she has done in health, as she has done with flirting with separatism, as she continues to do, with dismissing the Green Line one day or casting doubt on the Springbank flood diversion project. All of these things are key to prosperity here in Calgary. You can't just float these random ideas. What you need is stability, predictability, and a substantive plan to work with municipalities, and that is what Rachel Notley and the Alberta NDP have put on the table.
Do you have a follow-up, Josh?
Yeah, I was just going to follow up because she had made the earlier remarks about the Green Line, but she's now come out very much in support of the Green Line, reiterating that today. Also talking about pushing for the C train out to the Calgary International Airport, as well as she's mentioned in the past, the Banff line or the Banff rail line. What do you make of this kind of almost an about face on these topics?
Well, I don't know that it is. First of all, the phase one of the Green Line is, they are starting to move utilities now. It is well and truly underway. So to come out and say, oh yes, I support this, well, congratulations. There's nothing that she can do about it. Certainly her comments in the past have cast extreme doubt on any support for public transit that will aid in development of the downtown and ensure that people throughout North Calgary have access to transit, and therefore all of the community building benefits that come with the expansion of light rail transit, which Danielle Smith does not appear to appreciate in any way, shape, or form. Perhaps that's why one of her first media availabilities, or she straight up said that she didn't care if people in Calgary vote for her. On this business of the train to the airport, once again, this is a bit of a flight of fancy. This is the Premier just engaging in sort of flighty, unsubstantiated, completely vague, notional ideas, batting ideas back and forth as if being in the Premier's chair or talking to the media or making commitments to the people of Calgary is some sort of brainstorming session. There are no details behind this. There's no costing. There's no anything. There's no there. And that, unfortunately, reflects the governance approach so far. These are multi-billion-dollar, multi-year, sometimes multi-decade projects that require the kind of temperament that we have not seen from Danielle Smith, neither in the partnership with municipalities to actually get something done, the appreciation of the substance and the depth of how important these decisions are, how much they cost. None of that has come to the table with this premier. All we see is just chaos, conflict, and that increases costs. Even the musing about the Green Line from a couple of weeks ago could have increased costs, and it's very, very unfortunate to all of the people who rely on these projects moving forward.
Anything further, Josh?
Nope, that's all. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we will wrap today. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching, and to learn more, check out albertasfuture.ca.